Morena, tēnā koutou katoa. Good morning everyone and welcome to Ryman Healthcare's full year results presentation for the year to March 31st, 2021. My name is David Kerr and I'm the Chairman of Ryman Healthcare. To my right we have Gordon McLeod, our Chief Executive, and David Bennett further down the table, our Chief Financial Officer. So once again we've opted to make the presentation a virtual event. We find this is best as an approach because it takes the guesswork out of which COVID level we are in. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the year, an update on the COVID situation and impact. Gordy will give you his analysis of the year and the growth plans and thoughts on what he sees ahead. And David will then give you some greater financial detail on our financial results. So we welcome questions at the end. You can ask questions either online or over the phone for those of you who've called in. And of course you can contact us afterwards if there's anything else you'd like to know. You'll see on the right-hand side of your screen, you have the chance to ask a question online. For those of you calling in by phone, our operator will advise you when you're free to ask a question. So, after another eventful year for Ryman Healthcare, I'm happy to report we're still COVID-19 free and our vaccine rollout program is in full swing. Keeping our villages COVID-free, coping with the unexpected lockdowns, adapting to the bubbles, opening and then pausing, keeping the home fires burning has been quite a challenge. It's been a huge team effort and the board cannot thank everyone enough for what's been achieved. Our staff have been truly amazing. They have to a person put the welfare of our residents to the fore. Some of them have been in various amounts of PPE for well over a year. And as well as this, they've exercised great caution with their own activities and living arrangements and personal health over all of that time. And we're enormously grateful and aware of their extra efforts. It's been one heck of a challenging year. When I first heard of this virus, I feared it was a perfect storm for an operation such as ours. And indeed it was for some operators, which has been very sad to see. But here we are, as I mentioned, COVID-free still. Everyone is really attentive to staying that way. So let's look first at the headline numbers. The underlying profit was $224.4 million, which is a decrease of 7.3% compared to the prior year, due to the COVID-19 challenges we've experienced. The reported or IFRS profit increased 59.8% to $423.1 million, which is due to property valuation changes and the addition of new units. The property market decline that was widely anticipated this time last year failed to eventuate. We had a much stronger second half. You'll recall we were almost 15% down at the half year, and full credit to the team for the progress they've achieved over the second half. Shareholders will receive a final dividend of 13.6 cents per share, taking the total dividend for the year to 22.4 cents per share. This dividend reflects 50% of our underlying profit. This year's dividend is a milestone. It means we will have paid out more than $1 billion to shareholders since 1999, when we raised $25 million. The record date is June 4th, and the dividend will be paid on June 18. Total assets rose 19.5% to $9.17 billion. We're building across 12 sites, up from 4 new sites just 3 years ago, and we'll soon have another 2 underway. Prior to COVID, we were anticipating returning to our 15% medium-term growth target in that prior and current financial years. We were expecting strong growth from Victoria this financial year, but COVID temporarily put paid to that. We couldn't trade for a significant amount of time, but we experienced a significant turnaround in the final quarter of the year in both our markets, and this gives us a lot of cause for optimism about the year ahead, COVID permitting, obviously. We've just had the best April sales in our history, so the momentum is continuing. This result also includes our repayment of $14.2 million in wage subsidies, which we clearly qualified for in New Zealand as a result of the COVID lockdown. We repaid it because of the recovery in our key markets and the improved outlook that resulted from the containment of COVID. If we had not repaid the subsidy, our underlying profit would have been similar to last year. As a board, we're constantly aware of our intrinsic purpose as a company and the role that Ryman plays in the communities it operates in, as well as the importance of purpose to our staff and many stakeholders. Profit is a critical outcome of identifying a purpose that benefits and is appreciated by society. Our purpose, providing beautiful and sustainable homes and the best of care to older people, is greatly valued by the society we operate in. That's why we're called Ryman Healthcare. The name encapsulates our purpose, which means our shareholders who trusted us with their investment to get a return on that investment. The competitive returns to shareholders are essential to the company's success. But this is not the purpose. I suggest the purpose continues to the collaboration, the innovation, and the commitment and creativity of our teams and all our stakeholders, which is what gives us the momentum for both innovation and growth. I recently read a report relating to what are described as compounding companies. We could describe Ryman as a compounding company on a number of different fronts. Clearly, Ryman has been a compounding investment. We've returned more than $1 billion to shareholders and raised no fresh equity. It's also a company that's demonstrated compounding growth. We've grown by reaching more and more people. We've added 33 villages now since we listed. We have another 16 to build, and we continue to look for more land opportunities. The magnitude of growth is always exciting, but the sustainability of the growth is more important. Sustainability of growth requires retention of our competitive advantage, and this is a constant focus of both the board and the management of the company. Retaining our competitive advantage means we need to constantly innovate. The first step is always to retain one's current competitive advantage. The next step is for the company to identify the next competitive advantage that will keep us at the front of the sector. And the third step, which is a constant area of focus for this company, is to be exploring future competitive advantage. We've been innovating more in the past year than I can remember. COVID meant we were needing to be working in a completely different way and has brought technology to the fore. That pioneering investment we made all those years ago in Ryman, which moved us into the digital space, paid dividends. We're pioneering again with clinical improvements, new resident hosting services and food improvements, and in the way we're using new technology to lift the resident experience to a whole new level. Our residents will see this in the next few weeks when we roll out the Games at Ryman, coinciding with the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Ryman residents across all our villages will use sophisticated technology to participate in the world's first digitally enhanced Olympics for retirees. We're hoping our version of the Games will empower our residents to compete, to do things they never thought they could do, and demonstrate where technology can take us next. We're not promising gymnastics, but there will be virtual cycling and swimming events, walking relays up Mount Fuji, laser-powered lawn bowls, and a lot more besides. We know our residents are overwhelmingly positive about their lives, and our survey's results during COVID showed how much they appreciate what we do. But we can't rest on our laurels. We will keep going to find the next improvement or innovation that will make their lives yet better. To keep our competitive advantage and continue to innovate, it's important that we are constantly renewing and replacing our team. And we've been through a slow but steady board renewal process over the past couple of years. In March, we welcomed a new board member to the table, joining relative newcomers Paula Jeffs and Anthony Lees. I was delighted that Greg Campbell could join us recently, and we're lucky to have his skill at the table now. Greg is a well-respected chief executive. He's done a job for a number of years leading the team at fertiliser cooperative Ravensdown. Prior to that, he had a number of challenging chief executive roles both here in New Zealand and in Australia, and he is also experienced in governance. He's already having a lot of input at the board level, and he's got great insights into sustainability issues, which add a valuable new discipline to our governance team. You'll recall from our half-year result that we had decided to appoint a chief executive in Australia for the first time. We were delighted to announce Cameron Holland's appointment. Cameron joined last month, and we're looking forward to his contribution as he develops his understanding of Ryman. Cameron is an experienced business leader. He's worked in the airline and travel industries and also has experience in the aged care sector at a senior level in Australia. As well as running all our Victorian operations, Cameron will be working on our Australian growth strategy, helping our Victorian teams solidify our activity and enable the continued growth opportunities we see in that state. We also appointed Chris Evans as our Chief Construction Officer. Chris is an engineer who's built a distinguished career in the construction industry in Australia, including 25 years at John Holland, and most recently he's worked as Chief Assets and Infrastructure Officer at Sydney Airport. So some great appointments there. And so to Gordy. Here's Gordy and his nana at Margaret Stoddart in 1994. Gordy's let us know that he's reached a point in his life where he's keen to try something else. He's given 15 years of extraordinary service to Ryman. This is his 29th result. He joined as CFO in January 2007 and was promoted to Deputy Chief Executive at the end of 2014 and took over as Chief Executive in June 2017. During his 4 years as Chief Executive, we've opened 10 new villages and increased our market capitalisation from $4.2 billion to about $7 billion and returned $450 million in dividends to shareholders. And we achieved our goal of opening 5 new villages in Victoria by 2020. His leadership throughout COVID has been sure-footed and superb, and we've kept more than 12,500 residents and 6,100 staff safe across 2 countries. Gordy has an extraordinary ability to relate very positively to the very many stakeholders in this company. He's shown himself to be an absolutely authentic leader. We're very fortunate that he's committed to stay on until a suitable replacement is found, and he'll be leaving Ryman in a great position. So I'd like to thank him on behalf of the board and everyone at Ryman. I would add that finding someone to fill his shoes will be challenging, and so there'll be many more opportunities to express our gratitude. We respect his decision entirely, of course, and we wish him the best in whatever he does. We'll be conducting an international search, and of course we'll update shareholders as soon as an appointment is made. A week or so ago, I was lucky enough to receive the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. Gordy and I regarded it as our duty to get the vaccine so that we could clearly show our belief in the safety and value of it to the thousands of residents and staff at Ryman. We'd also participated in some evidence-based education sessions over the past few months, encouraging everyone to get the vaccine. We understand it's an important decision, but I didn't have the slightest hesitation about rolling my sleeve up. This mRNA vaccine has a phenomenal track record of efficacy and safety. Like some 200 million other people, I've had no side effects, but I'm reassured that if I come into contact with COVID, my immune system will be ready. We've examined the data every which way, and I think it's one of the greatest advances we've seen in medicine in my career. It offers an extraordinary opportunity to safeguard everyone in our communities, and I've been impressed to see how much work the Ryman team has done to educate the residents and staff alike and to answer any queries. The Ryman team actually has trained 50 vaccinators, and they're ready to go. Our aim has been to be able to vaccinate everyone in our community ourselves, and a number of DHBs have taken us up on our offer to protect their resources. Indeed, in a couple of cases, DHBs have asked Ryman to run the vaccination program across all of aged care in their region. That's how valued we are as a local healthcare partner, and indeed how critical our villages have become to the healthcare infrastructure. Talk about purpose. So to summarise the year, we made it. We turned in what I think is a very credible result during the worst pandemic for 100 years. We've kept everyone safe, and we've continued to grow, to innovate and to develop. But most of all, we've proven that our model of care is a critical part of the infrastructure of the communities we serve. The professionalism and clinical excellence of our team during COVID has been extraordinary. It means that the safety and security of living in a Ryman village is more valued by our residents and their families than ever. And we're expecting demand for our services to continue to grow in the years ahead. I'll now hand over to Gordy to talk you through the year.